All right, welcome. So we're going to do a couple of quick scuba tips and tricks. Today I want to talk about underwater slates and writing utensils. So first off, I'm an instructor, have been for 10, 11, 12 years, something like that now. And I use these slates every single time I teach an open water class. I have a couple sets. And I scratch off on them so I know, hey, make sure my student did that. Easy way to make sure they met all the performance requirements, right? So when I do that, obviously I have a writing utensil to do so, but first I want to talk about this. So this is after my last class and it's pretty dirty. So what I do is, this is, a lot of people refer to these as like magic eraser. There are a couple different brands of these that are available that are a whole lot less expensive. I tend to go through them quite a bit. I think the 20 pack is about $6, maybe $7 on Amazon. I'll see if I can put a link in the description below. This is like 1.5 of them. So 20 cut up goes a long ways. And it works dry, like so. It works a little bit better if you get it wet. Obviously wet means there's a little bit more to clean up. You can see, you know, even with this, even with the writing on there, it's basically like it was new. So really nice way to clean these up at the beginning of every single class, so on and so forth. Okay, so while we're here, want to show one other little tip and trick that I use for slates when it comes to open water. You can see this is like your standard stainless ring, nothing wrong with it. Use them plenty of times, no issues for the most part. But one thing I did notice is that sometimes the slates like get tangled up with this. It's rigid, so it doesn't work too well sometimes. In this case, we've actually found these guys. So this is a cable with a quick release, like so. They work a whole lot better than the stainless steel rings. The other nice thing about them is that they like don't fail. These things are hard to get apart unless you're doing it on purpose. Unlike the old style that screw together, just again quick release like so. These are, you can find them on Amazon. They're called Flexi Lock Checklist. They're for pilots use them a lot of times for their checklists. If you go to the pilot stores like mypilotstore.com or pilotshop.com, you can find them in a whole bunch of different colors, and they're about $1 a piece there. Cheapest I can find them on Amazon, I think, was a little over $2 a piece. So maybe better off to order them direct. A whole lot better, a little bit bigger. They're not going to fail. They work so much easier. The flexibility is nice versus the stainless ring. Okay, so when we are wanting to write on these, obviously we're going to need an underwater pencil of some sorts. A lot of people use the kind that come with like this style of slate. It's like a little pencil, but it's like mostly lead. They break real easy. They're just kind of terrible overall. Instead of that, I have been using these for the longest time. So this is it's a pencil, right? So it's like made for artists to draw with different hardness of lead. In this case, 6B seems to be about the correct hardness of lead in order for underwater writing on these types of slates. It's made by Pilot. I think it's called Crocus, Croquis. The cool thing about this is, one, it's not going to break like the others, and two, it's like a mechanical pencil. You can twist the end, and as you wear out, you can get more lead. So these things, they last forever, they don't break, they're really awesome. Now, how do you keep that attached to you? Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to do. This one's already set up. I've used a piece of, well, maybe about 1 foot long of, your standard line that comes on any like DSMB reel, that sort of thing. So here's here's the pencil as it comes. It comes apart in a couple ways. So the lead is replaceable, so you can take off that cap and replace this guy inside. But the important part here is the back end. In this case, you just grab a hold, pull out, and actually there's the lead right there. That all stays in place, of course. This is the part we care about. So there's a hole in the end, so it's nice that they already have that for us. And we just take, you know, a little bit of our extra line that we may have. Just gonna cut this, only need, you know, maybe a foot or so. We gotta tie a knot in one end, so we can tie it to something. So we're just gonna cut like so. As with any line like this, it will fray if you don't do anything with it. So you wanna just quick burn the end there so it doesn't come unfrayed, or it doesn't fray, sorry. So now we've got our piece of line, fits nicely into the hole, just like so. And then, so on this end, all you gotta do is just tie a simple overhand knot, and you wanna tie it with as little of a tail as possible. Just like so, and then maybe actually, maybe too much of a tail, so we'll just trim that a bit. We will just quickly melt the end, and then we're going to pull it back through like so. This guy is going to go right back on here just like it came, and that part's good. It's not coming apart unless you're to like physically pull this like really hard. Not going anywhere. So then on the other end, I'm just going to tie a quick bowline, right? So make your little loop with this outside of the loop, the tail, or the tree, I guess. And remember, the bunny comes up through the hole, around the tree, and then back down through the hole. May do another video on some knots at some point, but really like the bowline. It's an easy knot to tie. Does a lot of things very simply. So now we've got our line, or our pencil on our line. So you can put this through a ring, you can attach it to a bolt snap, whatever works best for you. There is one other way to do this. So that's with, you know, string. It's not very stretchy. You can buy this line. So this is bungee. I think it's 1/8 inch bungee. I buy it in bulk, 25 foot at a time or so. Use it to repair things like wrist slates, compasses, that sort of thing. So the downside obviously is that this is bigger than our pencil hole is, right? So we're gonna have to modify this. As you can see, I kind of love these things. I've got a bunch of them. Easy to give to students. They're cheap, $5 or $6 a piece. Just a nice thing to have around. So in this case, we're going to pull this guy apart, just like we did on the last one. I've got a 9/64 drill bit here, and I'm going to go from the back side through there and just gently, it doesn't take much, just like so. So then I'm just going to push this guy through there. Nice snug fit. Just like with the string, we're just going to tie a really simple overhand knot as close to the end as possible. The reason, if you have too much of a tail, is it interferes with this mechanism, and we don't want that. So we're just going to cut this down. Just like the string or the line, we're going to melt so it doesn't fray, and put that little knot right down inside the hole. I know it works because I've done it. There we go. Put the pencil back together. And so with this one, because the knot is bigger, it actually has a little bit of lead that's going to stick out when you first start it. More so than the string version. You can see that there. You can either snip that off or just use it. Worst case scenario is it breaks and it comes off. But now, so we'll cut this guy like so. We will tie another little bowline on this thing here. So again, up, around, and back down. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now again, we can attach this to a ring like so, or a bolt snap, whatever the case may be. So 2 ways to make some nice underwater writing utensils there. Okay, so here is another tip and trick regarding underwater slates. So this is an old wrist slate. I've had this thing for a long time. Just got done trying to clean it. It's a lot stained. Probably time to replace it, but as you can see, it's definitely had its better days. I'm pretty sure when I bought this that it had a piece of Velcro that came through these holes, and you're supposed to wrap that around your wrist. I like the bungee a whole lot better, so a long time ago I switched this over to this blue bungee. So that's nice. Like so. As you can see though, one of these has pulled away from it. And this happens, these things, they go bad over time, they just get too stretched out. So if you bought one and it's starting to come apart, just an easy way to fix it, we're just going to get rid of it entirely, the part that's there, make that go away. I'll wipe these up a little bit. Nope. It goes like that. And so ultimately it's going to go like so. Now that piece of blue 1/8 inch cord here, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot in one end of it, and just an overhand knot is usually all it takes to make this stay in place like so. I know I'm not going to need too much more than this, so we're just going to cut off the piece that I need. I'm not going to burn the end of it just yet. I'm going to thread it through here. So I'm going to start on the back side through the pieces, snug like so, and then back down like so. I've got some extra, obviously. I don't want this to be too tight because it makes it hard to flip over. I just want it to be snug, but to tie the knot, I'm just going to pull a little slack, run around here like so, and we're going to just an overhand knot. So like so, we can flip and flip. Snug our knot down so it doesn't go anywhere. Going to trim, and again you just want to burn like so, not going anywhere. So now we have a repaired slate there, wrist slate. So we're good to go. But where's the writing utensil? So again, normally earlier I talked about how these usually come with those terrible pencils that snap into place here. In this case, I'm going to do something a little different. Something I've done on another slate. I don't have it with me right this second, but I'm going to get rid of the pencil holder that came with this. So just snip those off flush. If you wanted to take a Dremel or something to make these like super nice and flush, that would work too. I'm not too concerned as long as there's no sharp edges. So now that that's flush, I'm just going to take a piece of Velcro. I don't need much, like so. And I'm just going to put it, maybe trim that just a little bit more so it fits between those two pieces. Just going to put it right there. Stuff's cheap, can easily be replaced if it ever comes off. So we got our Velcro there. Okay, so Now we need our pencil for this guy. I want to keep them together. I guess you could use a bolt snap or a ring around here, but in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my cord for this pencil through an existing hole. They make one of these. I think the bottom two are bigger, so that you can do this sort of thing. Pretty sure that may have been how it came. To be honest, I'm not sure. It's been so long. I had this thing like 10 or 11 years. And then just again an overhand knot like so. That'll keep it from pulling through. So then we don't want this just dangling around. I have these guys. They're made usually, I think people use them as like cable ties. They're Velcro on both sides. I usually keep a spare spool of this stuff in my Save-A-Dive kit. It's nice to, if anything's dangling, you can streamline stuff pretty simply. It's cheap. If, like a lot of people use like a bicycle tube as like kind of a rubber band to hold a light or something like that close to you that breaks, or you forgot to, you can do this after the fact. And it's just a nice little guy to have. It keeps stuff streamlined, hoses, that sort of thing. And it's Velcro, so it comes undone pretty easily. In this case, we're wanting the hook and loop so that is there. Now we don't need all of this. This is a ton. So I'm just going to cut about half. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap this around the center of the pencil with the Velcro side out that we want, that will attach to there. And just a couple wraps, just like so. If you wanted to get fancy, you could maybe put some glue or maybe a dab of hot glue or something like that. But either way, that Velcro's there. It stays pretty good. Swimming around underwater, got your wrist slate. Want to make a note, you can put what heading? Question mark. Back there, and you're good to go. So slates that you buy from various manufacturers, Patty, so on and so forth, they are a material that I've found what appears to be the exact same stuff. It's called Plasticard, so Plasticard, Plasticard. It's available on Amazon. I'm sure it's available other places. It writes and draws just like, just like your typical slate. So you can say, let's see here, navigate at 160 degrees, 20 kick cycles. But obviously it's this big piece that it comes in. You can maybe buy smaller pieces, but just a couple of things like easy about this, right? So first off, it writes well, which is great. Secondly, it cuts easy. You can cut it using just some standard scissors or shears. You can use a hole punch to punch holes in it like so. If you are a crafty person and you have some of the new tech, I've got actually a 40 watt laser engraver / cutter, and it actually will cut this nicely without any like crazy fumes or anything. The plastic is okay to cut. So that's what I did here. This fits in my dry suit pocket pretty nicely. I was using it on a wreck dive recently, asking a student which directions those were, or on the boat those were. A couple notes. So I'm going to put a link to these in the description that you can buy them on Amazon. They come, so this I purchased as 0.030 inches thick. When I measure it with my calipers, I get 0.027. So it's a little thinner than they advertise. The Patty slates, like so, measure exactly 0.030. So if you like the thickness of this like standard Patty style slate, you may want to go with a slightly thicker than .030 to get the exact same thing. And that's all I have for you today. I hope that made some sense. Hopefully it'll help if you have any need any ideas on how to kind of manage this stuff. All this stuff's relatively inexpensive. It does require a little bit of DIY, but again, pretty straightforward and simple. If you have any questions or comments, you can put those in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be starting to make some more scuba DIY / tips and tricks videos like this coming soon.